Welcome to today's explainer. We're diving headfirst into Aiohttp. Now, if you've been hanging around the Python async world, you already know the event loop is basically the beating heart of modern non-blocking code. Well, today, we're unpacking a tool that taps into that heartbeat like nothing else out there. It's an incredibly powerful HTTP library and web framework built directly on Python's async rail foundation.
But here's the wild part. Think about the year 2014. In software years, that's practically ancient history, right? We have incredibly slick, modern tools available today that are massively popular. So, if newer tools are dominating the conversation right now, why is Aiohttp still an absolute cornerstone in so many enterprise codebases? Why do we keep coming back to it?
Okay, let's map out exactly how we're going to answer that across 5 quick sections. 1. The async dual threat. 2. Acting as a client. 3. Building an async server. 4. Head-to-head comparisons. And 5. Real-world best practices.
Section 1. The async dual threat. Let's get a little historical context to see exactly where this fits into the broader async ecosystem.
First off, we've got to give it up for its veteran status. Released natively on Asyncio way back in 2014, this was around significantly before modern heavyweights like Starlet and HTTX even existed. It was literally built right on top of Asyncio the second the framework became available in Python's standard library. Talk about being early to the party.
And because it's been around, it has this incredibly unique superpower. Unlike newer libraries that specialize in doing just one thing, it's a single, unified package that acts as a genuine client for making requests and a genuine server for taking them. It's the whole shebang in one import.
Section 2. Acting as a client. Let's see how this plays out when we use Aiohttp specifically to send requests out into the web.
If you trace the workflow, it's going to feel pretty familiar if you've used tools like HTTPX. You install the package, spin up a client session, and fire off a GET request. Simple, right? But there's a quirky pattern at the very end. You have to explicitly await the response text or JSON as a totally separate async operation from the GET request itself.
Well, that extra await step is actually there by careful design. It's because Aiohttp streams response data asynchronously. Think about it. If you're pulling down a massive payload, you don't want to just sit there waiting for the whole thing to finish downloading. You can actually start processing the data as it arrives. It's a huge performance boost.
Now here's an absolutely crucial best practice when you're acting as a client: connection pooling. Under the hood, Aiohttp manages a pool of reusable connections inside that client session. So if you're spinning up a brand new session for every single request, you're totally defeating the purpose. Reuse that session to keep things lightning fast.
Section 3. Building an async server. Time to flip the script and explore the other half of this dual threat.
Believe it or not, it's incredibly straightforward. You just define your individual route handlers as async functions, register them with the application, and hit run. That's it. You instantly have a fully functional, async-capable web server, entirely built within the exact same package you were just using to make client requests.
Section 4. Head-to-head comparisons. Let's put Aiohttp in the ring with the modern alternatives you're probably already using.
When we compare the client side, HTTPX is amazing because it was designed to feel just like the classic requests library, and it actually gives you both sync and async options. But Aiohttp, purely async, from day one. It doesn't even bother with a synchronous interface. Because of that, the syntax can feel a bit less intuitive at first if you're migrating straight from requests, but it's totally purpose-built for the async world. On the server side, it's a really fascinating dynamic. Look, Fast API and Starlet are definitely the new hotness. They are the go-to for brand new async APIs today. But Aiohttp's legacy means it's heavily relied upon in a massive chunk of real-world production systems right now. It was the standard long before Fast API showed up, and it's battle-tested. And if you want to see the real magic of this dual nature, just think about WebSockets. Native WebSocket support for persistent two-way communication works absolutely perfectly whether you're connecting out to a server as a client or accepting incoming connections as a server. It literally does both flawlessly, a complete ecosystem in one box.
Section 5. Real-world best practices. So when should you actually reach for Aiohttp today? Picture this. You're building a microservice. It needs to ingest incoming requests, process them, and then instantly fire off outgoing requests to internal services.
Usually, you'd cobble together Starlet for the server and HTTPX for the client. But with AIO HTTP, you solve both problems seamlessly with one unified package. You define incoming routes and manage your outgoing client session all in one place.
So, here is your rule of thumb. If you're building a tool and you just need a client to make some requests, definitely default to HTTPX. It's familiar and modern. But if your project demands both client and server capabilities combined together, that's when you bring in the heavy hitter. Choose AIO HTTP and leverage that unified power.
I'll leave you with that thought to chew on. Why manage the overhead and dependencies of multiple specialized packages when a veteran multitasker can handle both flawlessly? Something to think about next time you're setting up your architecture. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer. Definitely stick around because next time we're diving deep into Celery for background tasks. Catch you then.